At the risk of slowing things down a mite, I'm Tyrion, and tonight I'll be reading a few excerpts and anecdotes from Garrison Keeler's Lake Wobegon days.
Excuse me, say what? I do believe you're mistaken, sir. I'm Nikki Paulson, and I am going to be reading from Agatha Christie Costumes with Curtain.
Here's your readers group then, for I am Andrea Johnson, and I will be reflecting on passages from Big Hillman's The Ritual Bath. The first real laborious mystery, and she met Sergeant Peter Decker in
No purpose for me. I stand alone. For I am a David, and there is no room for, up here for all of us. And I, my singular genius, will be reading from Gilles Delhaize's biography of Sumner Valley, called simply Dolly.
That's odd. No, that's truly odd. And odder still as we go, I imagine. My name's Randy Doctor.
And mine's a bio as well. A bit of a tale from Dad Washington White, Our Monica Story by Andrew Martin.
Now, I may be at the wrong conference. There's no way to be certain, of course. My name is Tim Schurzeth, and I'm sure I was called here tonight to read from Stephen Hawking's fascinating piece called The Universe in a Nutshell.
No mistake, for I am here too, Jesse Zimmerman, and mine is science as well. Can't think what all these others are here for, but I am here to read some bits from Edwin Abbott's Flatland.
Oh no, we're all meant to be here, oh my friends, my 7 married rookies and 7 graduates. I'm Cece Nutter, your friend and narrator, to regale you with a few bits from Anthony Burgess's Clockwork Orange. I see you all have books. It is indeed a rare pleasure these days to come across someone that still reads.
Let all the bells ring, and let the toiling peasant straighten for a moment as the ankylosed curve of his anonymous back bowed to the soil like the trunk of an olive tree, twisted by the tramontana, if I can read, tramontana, and let his cheek, furrowed by deep and earth-filled wrinkles, rest in the hollow of his calloused handle, and a noble attitude of momentary and meditative devotion. Look, Salvador Dali has just been born.
Have you noticed before now that babies and babyish people who cannot distinguish themselves from the world speak of themselves in the third person? But hush.
He moved to Berlin in April 1914 and was joined shortly after by his wife and 2 sons.
Look, Linda, I'm going to tell you this, and I hope you don't tell anyone. I already had an affair with him, and it's over. Just leave it alone. It's not going to happen.
The marriage had been in a bad way for some time, however, and his family soon returned to Zurich. Although he visited them occasionally, he and his wife were eventually divorced.
Oh, well, it had been a good life. Nevertheless, my heart was wrung for my old friend who was fighting so gallantly every step of the downward way. Even now, crippled and weak, his indomitable spirit was still leading him to ply the craft at which he was so expert.
The fact that he spent the war years as a bachelor without domestic commitments may be one reason why this period was so productive for him scientifically.
At any rate, he's lucky to have inherited Nathan. What a place! But he certainly ought to marry. He'll be lonely there by himself.
Wife, I gasped. Wife? Oh no, that cannot be. Too young art thou to be married, old Droog.
The care in choosing a regular life appears to diminish as one rises in the social scale.
Most society people are unintelligent, but their wives had jewels that were as hard as my heart, were extraordinary perfumes, and adorned the music that I detested.
Symphony, symphony. He wants a symphony.
Yes, she thought. The ground pleated Shiva were inundated with them. Scrawny felines that made horrible human-like cries, scaring her son in the middle of the night.
Suddenly, the public address system came to life, and a voice announced, "Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, accompanied by the First Lady." As a military band struck up "Hail to the Chief," there he was on stage.
Death to the government!
I could learn to use a gun from someone else.
What happens if you go back and kill your grandfather before your father was conceived?
We're charging your client with premeditated murder. You take over from here.
Very hard ethical questions are involved.
The only doubt would have been whether the shot was fired accidentally or with criminal intent. And that's the question
sundress and white brimmed straw hat, was more concerned about not passing out than about watching the passing parade.
In some less civilized states, no female is suffered to stand in any public place without swaying her back from right to left.
Civilize my civilized yorls.
He gave me the full Dublin.
Now, 12 inches may be regarded as a maximum.
Ew. Have you got a place for a bright young intern who wants to get away from the White House?
The South Pole is perfectly regular point on the Earth's surface, and the same laws hold there as at any other point.
But we get a little snow, then a few inches, and then another inch or two, and sometimes we get a ton.
There is no longer room in Europe for the little maniacal lozenges of Monsieur Mondrian.
What's wrong with you?
And Mary is Grandma's younger sister who never married. It's not hard to see why men looked at her and thought they could make it through life without her by their side. And Mary talks the way other people chew gum.
Once in Paris, I shall seize power.
In the car, she narrates the trip. Up ahead is a house moving down the road in a flatbed truck.
Oh, look, a house on the road. Ain't that something? Look at those sheep. Boy, there are lots of them, aren't there? Boy, that's a big building. Sure is warm today, isn't it?
Christ is like cheese, or to be more precise, like mountains of cheese.
Aunt Mary reads billboards out loud.
Headers, furs, and fabrics. All you need to sell. See us about winter coat storage. O'Connell's Midnight Club. Cocktails and dancing. Appearing nightly, the Duke Bryan combo.
Sometimes I spit on the portrait of my mother for the fun.
Don't drive so fast among the palms. Aunt Mary likes to
Read our signs, Burma shape.
In some religions, the act of spitting often takes on a sacred character.
All you do is talk, talk, talk. You may as well learn how.
Professionals? You can't find this manzer and you have the nerve to call yourself a professional? Is this what professionals do? Stand around and gab while he's still loose in the hills?
The human race does not have a very good record of intelligent behavior.
Perhaps I was to blame. But indeed, I was intoxicated by the recent draughts of truth to which he himself had introduced me.
I believe we can and should try to understand the universe.
The key to a good potato kugel is good potatoes. The key to a great potato kugel is the amount of oil. You have to use just enough oil to make the batter moist, plus a little excess to leak out around the cake pan. You fry the edges to make the whole thing nice and crisp without being too greasy.
My mind had been on eternal things for a while, at least on death, the door to eternity. I knew that dead people were buried in boxes in the ground, and I often wondered what they did there. In the dark, with no food, no radio, no books.
I shot my brother.
My brother is one of the best squares. Just sensible and cheerful and not without fraternal affection.
I tried to talk her out of it, but she can be very determined sometimes.
Our women are straight lines.
Of course, maybe if you dress her up in some normal clothes. A low-cut blouse and a pair of jeans.
But it was a man you're trying to identify, not a dressing gown. Anybody can wear a dressing gown.
We were dressed in the height of fashion, which in those days was a very wide trousers with a very loose, black, shiny, leather-like jerkin over an open-necked shirt with a, scarf tucked in.
I reply that no lady of any position will marry an uncertified tribe.
And then elaborately changing the subject and making a series of the most unconnected remarks.
What gets into you all? We studied the problem, and we've been studying it for damn well near a century, yes, but we get no further with our studies. You've got a good home here, good loving parents. You've got not too bad of a brain. Is it some devil that crawls inside you?
We don't yet have a complete understanding of the origin of the universe.
Oh, well, when I was 4, I told my sister about the creation. She laughed in my face. She was 8. She gave me a choice between going back on scripture truth as I understood it, or eating dirt, and I ate a pinch of dirt. Chew it, she said, and I did, so she could earn brunch.
More powerful than the cyclotrons and cybernetic calculators, I can penetrate the mysteries of the real in a moment. mine the ecstasy, mine St. Teresa of Avila. By reviving Spanish mysticism, I, Dolly, shall use my work to demonstrate the unity of the universe by showing the spirituality of all substance.
All pea grains were created equal.
The people are on fire with indignation. You have killed those horrible, boastful villains' chances for re-election.
When she told me about the thong thing, I was shocked. She is sexual and playful by nature, but that was a lot for her to do.
So what is real and what is imaginary? Is the distinction just in our minds?
I felt it by a kind of instinct that I must conceal my experiences from my wife.
Do you understand that she has the power? She could have used it for my benefit. A daughter of Judea, a daughter of Zion. She is the magician and knows the art of healing, just as her ancestors before her. She is the daughter of Miriam, the great healer. Even her name is Miriam. But instead of helping me, she zapped me.
The most
She made me useless.
obvious thing about space is that it goes on and on and on.
But what goes on here? Stop it at once. This is a reading room.
Now, the universe has multiple histories, each of which is determined by a tiny nut.
I say.
There must be a history of the universe in which Billy's won every gold medal in the Olympic Games, though maybe the possibility is low.
Sorry about this.
It was in the atmosphere of crisis that Monica Lewinsky started her first day in the temporary job.
If I admitted I was coprophagic, it would make me even more interesting and phenomenal in everybody's eyes.
As the evening wore on, the president came more frequently to the office Monica was working in.
I swear I'm not coprophagic. I consciously loathe that type of aberration as much as you could possibly loathe it.
Now, don't think I'm really weird, but my grandma and I get witchy, psychic senses about things.
Whence this ill-timed and impertinent request?
Monica, who was wearing a smart navy blue pantsuit, decided to raise the stakes in their flirting ritual.
What?
Where is this land of four dimensions?
I must say that personally, I have been reluctant to believe in extra dimensions.
He gestured to her and said, "Come on here. Come on in here for a second."
Need I say that I was at once arrested and taken before the council?
What is this? Who are you? And how dare you enter my house without permission?
Well, I imagined a man walking up and giving me $50. Here, he said, made me promise I wouldn't tell anyone. Or a Brinks truck racing through town hitting a bump and a bag falling out of my feet. Or Crystal Sugar calling to say I'd won named the Lake Home contest. And would I like the Lake Home or the cash equivalent of 15 grand?
Here was direct evidence that space and time are one. And it spurred the greatest change in our perception of the universe, in which we believe, since Euclid wrote his Elements of Geometry, about 300 BC.
Stereoscopy immortalizes and legitimizes geometry. For thanks to it, we have the third dimension of the sphere, which is capable of containing and limiting the universe in an august, immortal, incorruptible, and royal fashion.
The sphere would willingly have continued its lessons by indoctrinating me in the conformation of all regular solids, cylinders, cones, pyramids, pentahedrons, decahedrons, dodecahedrons, and spheres, but I venture to interrupt him.
And the attempt to impose upon man, a creature of growth and capable of sweetness, to lose juicily at the last round the bearded lips of God, to attempt to impose, I say, laws and conditions appropriate to a mechanical creation. Against this I raise my sword pen.
It was a calculated gamble, and one which might have immediately calamitous consequences for her.
For any female duly certified to be suffering from St. Vitus dance, fits, chronic cold, accompanied by violent sneezing, or any disease necessitating involuntary motions, shall be instantly destroyed.
We are now working to combine Einstein's general theory of relativity with Feynman's idea of multiple histories into a complete unified theory that will describe everything that happens in the universe.
What a splendid
She watched him disappear into the brush. A moment later, she heard noises.
What?
Well, there's nothing like a sermon against materialism to make a person feel better about having less.
Amen.
We'll end with hymn 435, The Prisoner's Hymnal.
Oh, hail thee, lake, woe be God, your cradle of our youth. We shall uphold the blue and gold in honor and in truth. Holding our lamps will be the chances to vanquish but earn far and near. For WHS, the beacon of the West, the school we love so dear. Gonna fight for what we got, be strong and resolute. And our vanquished foes will fall in rows, and we hope come in the smooth.
Rah, rah.